I hope you took the time to read the Introduction to Tools in Dominating Your Email Inbox. It sets the tone for this lecture. Also, did you take a few moments to calculate your email capacity? It's important to know how much time you need in your workday to work on your email so that you can plan accordingly. This is quite important. So let's move on to getting your inbox under control. I want to introduce a workflow system that's going to manage your emails and greatly reduce your stress. The only way to succeed today is figuring out a system that'll handle a high volume of emails. Because nobody ever taught us how to use email. Yeah, we were shown how to open email and how to send email, but nobody taught us a system for managing email. So we became reactionary to email, and it's gotten quite out of control. You need a system that's simple and repeatable, and it's going to allow you to have a life outside of your inbox. It needs to be simple enough so that no matter what type of email it is, who the message is from, or what type of content it is, you'll know how to deal with it. Because what an email system can do is build walls where walls don't yet exist. Many people live in their inbox. Their email's open all day long, it's auto-checking every few minutes, and as a result, email has become the nexus of everything they do at work. It's their to-do list manager and calendar. They spend unknown amounts of time scrolling through emails trying to figure out what they're doing today. So it's easy to see how a lot of people have become overwhelmed by email. And this is not a system and is not a way to live and work. Email is the greatest source of workplace stress. Now, on the flip side of this is control. But for many of us, email is a curse. And that's what we're going to do today, is turn your inbox from a curse to something you control. And I call this system Dominate Your Email. It's a combination of several systems that I've gathered over the years in an attempt to get some kind of control over email. And it's really, first and foremost, the development of a different mindset about email and the inbox. So let's first talk about what your email inbox is not. So we're looking at the top of page 18 in your workbook. It's not your calendar. You do not go into your email to determine what you're going to do today. It should not be the driving force for your day. As a matter of fact, opening it up first thing in the morning opens you up to working on other people's priorities rather than your own. It's not your to-do list. Too many people use it to manage their to-dos. All of their responsibilities are in their inbox, and they're constantly reviewing up and down what needs to get done. It's not your task manager. There's no way to prioritize your emails. Well, okay, you can use flags, but what if you have too many emails flagged? When you have too much of something, it becomes meaningless. And it's not a filing system. As a matter of fact, it's a terrible filing system. Email is just a medium. It gets information from one place to another. It is not these things. Your inbox is where your emails land. So the Dominate Your Email system will mean that you no longer just check email. You will intentionally process your emails. And I'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute. But there's 3 parts to the system. There's setting up the system, how to use the system, and then maintaining the system. For this recording, I'm going to talk about setting it up and then using it. So if you look at the first diagram on page 18, and I've also provided both images in this section as well for you, we begin with setting up a set of folders that will manage your emails. This diagram shows you what I suggest, but this might look different for every one of you. But when you figure that out, it will make things a lot easier for you, because once you know where stuff goes, it makes it a lot easier to put it there. My rule is KISS. Keep it super simple. That's the key. So I suggest that you have 5 folders that will organize your emails, and I call them SMART folders. And notice the @ symbol in front of the folder name. The reason is that using a symbol will float these folders to the top of your alphabetical folder list, because you want to have easy access to them. So the first one is action. This is any email that you've received where you know a reply or other email action is required, and where that action is going to take longer than 2 minutes to complete. Essentially, this folder becomes your to-do list. Then there's read review. This is any email that you want to scan over at a later time or read, rather than look at it as soon as it lands in your inbox. Waiting. Any email where you're waiting on someone else to do something and you're committed to following through on it, or maybe it's an email that you've sent that you want to track in some way. Now, the tip here would be to perhaps CC yourself and then place the email into that folder. Or the alternative is to move it from your sent items folder. This folder serves as a place to store emails to remind you of communications where you're expecting someone to reply to you. So these first three folders are what I consider active, and they are your new hangout. No more storing live emails in your inbox. This is where the action is. Batching action emails just makes for a more efficient way of getting stuff done. Now, here's a suggestion. If you delegate work via email, you may want to set up a delegate folder as a way of tracking items that you've delegated to someone. That would be an example of personalizing the system to suit how you work. Or maybe it's a particular project you're working on and there's a lot of communication back and forth on it. You may want to have a folder for that. But what's important to know about these folders is that the emails don't live there indefinitely. Once you've dealt with them, you move it to your permanent filing system or delete it if it's no longer needed. I hope that's good so far. So let's move on to the other two folders. The next one is Quick Reference. Now, I love this folder. This folder holds emails that you might need in the near term for reference. So for example, you receive a travel itinerary for an upcoming trip. Place the email in there for quick reference. When the flight's over, move it to either your archive keep folder, or if you don't need it, you just delete it. I've used it to hold emails that give me information about webinars that I'll be attending. Once the webinar is done, I delete the email. Nice and simple and easy to find. And archive keep. This is the ultimate destination folder for all email that isn't deleted. Any email that has ever had any importance to you should eventually find its way here. This ensures that all emails remain searchable because computers are really excellent at searching. Having a file folder system that's complicated is really redundant today. If you have one place to put all your emails that you no longer are working on, it just makes it that much easier to put stuff away. So unless you have a really easy file system in place that works for you, I would suggest having one folder and storing everything in there. So these are really dump buckets that you just move emails in and out of and are a core piece of using your system when you're processing your email. So as a concept, what do you think the benefit would be with this folder system for your emails? Why might this idea not work for you? And what could you do to make it work for you? Because here's the thing. When your inbox acts as that holding place for 50, 100, 500, 1,000 emails, some read, some unread, some that need replying to, some that should be filed, many that need to be deleted, it's really hard to be on top of it all. How do you know you're not missing out on a deadline that's concealed somewhere in the depths of your inbox? And how stressful is it not knowing that you might be missing something that is vital? You know, that underlying nagging feeling of, what have I forgotten? And even if you scan your inbox regularly, how much time is that taking? How many emails have you opened and read and reread and reread? So I invite you to give this system serious consideration and ask yourself, what are the possibilities? So let's move on to using the system. So once you're over the shock of actually moving your action emails into a folder, let's look at how to use the system. Now, this is where the concept of processing your email inbox comes into play. Processing is more than checking your emails, but less than responding and acting to every email. So you process first. You convert every email into an action, even if the action is deleting it or filing it. What you're doing, though, is you're deciding in the moment what you need to do with it and then moving it on. The golden rule here is that you handle that email once. So when you open an email, make a decision. First, the easy ones are delete. You don't need to act on it. It's information that's shared with you and there's no responsibility for you. You can go ahead and delete it. I want you to get comfortable using your delete key. File it. If it's something that just needs to be stored, it's a record or something that needs to be kept for legal purposes, put it in your archive keep folder or your filing system. just do it. You know what? If it's quick and you can do it in like 2 to 3 minutes, just do it and get it done. And of course, there's defer and schedule it. These are emails that require you to spend more time on, or you need more information, or you're waiting on someone to provide you with something before you can complete the email. There's that missing piece, or you're not quite ready to deal with it. Then this email goes into either your action or your waiting folder. So this isn't procrastination. This is making a decision to defer it. And is it something that you just want to read later? Move it into your read review folder. At the end of the processing time, technically, there should be no emails that you've opened that you did not apply one of these actions to. You will do yourself a massive favor if you begin to apply these actions to your email and use smart folders to batch your emails. Your inbox should simply be a place for emails that haven't been read yet. It's an intentional and specific amount of time you set aside to process your email inbox. You know, we find lost productivity in our inbox. The average knowledge worker checks their email 40 times a day. And if we did the math on that, even if all you do is peruse your inbox, let's say each check is about 2 minutes. Each day that adds up to 1 hour and 20 minutes. And each week that amounts to 6 hours and 40 minutes. That's almost one entire workday every week of lost productivity spent just looking at your inbox. It's time to be more intentional about working on your email. So that's it for the lecture part. Be sure to read Maintaining the System notes, as well as Setting Email Expectations. I think you'll like that one and you may find it very helpful. And I've also provided some additional tips in your workbook on pages 19 and 20. So I'll see you in the next section, which is Simplify Your Task List.